My brothers and sisters in Christ, today's image from the gospel reminds me in a modern sense if we started receiving letters from creditors, collection agencies, the IRS knocking on our door, all coming looking for what we owe. Or perhaps it's the bookie for the gambling debts showing up. All forms of people at the door looking for what we owe, and we just chose to ignore it, to see what would happen. Well, we know that story doesn't end well. And so it is with the parable in today's gospel, which in this image is the one of a vineyard, a winepress, the image of Israel settled on God's land, given there to bear abundant fruit. Except when the time for the harvest comes, they ignore God, they drive off the servants who come looking for the collection that's due to them, and then finally the landowner sends his own son, the clear allusion to Jesus, and instead they say, this is the owner's heir, let's kill him and take his inheritance. And so it's a story of wicked servants on the land of they've been entrusted, given great gifts, and asked to bear fruit to make a return to the owner, and instead not only don't bear fruit, but give offense and rebel against the owner in the first place. And so this begs the question for us, one that is very straightforward, but one that we need to consider time to time, whether in the image of this or, as I said, in the sense of the creditors and debtors coming to the door, which is, what is our return on what God has invested in us? When I look at myself, when you look at yourself, God has given me the gift of life. He has given me all that I have, all that I am, my skills, my talents, the blessings I have, the means, the opportunities, and He asks me to be faithful to follow Him and bear fruit. Am I following that command? Am I bearing the fruit that the Master has asked of me? And if not, why not? And second of all, how am I responding? Am I choosing just to ignore, to try to drown out the voice of the Master? When He comes asking for an accounting of what I've done, perhaps I push Him away. I spend less time in prayer, or I choose to play dumb that anything is expected of me. Perhaps I react violently. Perhaps I grow angry with God to drive Him away. But regardless of how we deal with our Master, are we bearing the fruit that we've been charged to do? Are we providing God a return on His investment? Is a different way of putting it. But most of all, we have been asked to be faithful as His disciples, to go forth and bear fruit. And if not, we need to understand why. What are we running from? What are we choosing over the purpose for which we've been put forward? How can I turn things around and be true on the investment that's been made in me? How can I be a faithful disciple to Jesus today? May God bless you all.